Good day everyone, welcome back to my channel. Now today I will be doing fan tests from the AL and the SL. Now this is not the static pressure test, that will be on another video. For today I'll be talking about the case airflow. How well does the AL go against the SL? Now besides this, right, I'm gonna do some unboxing related with this fans over here. This is actually the improved version of gentle Typhoon. This is the Noctua NF A12 x 25. And last but not least is actually the Cooler Master SF120M. Now in my previous test, right, in fact I have three criteria to actually test fans. So first will be on the amperage usage, second will be on the airflow, and third will be the noise itself. Now adding on one more category, which is actually the build of the fans itself. Also I'll be using all this equipment and I will explain what's the methodology of how I do the airflow test. Let's get into it. In this section is more about unboxing these three fans over here, and I will not do the introduction for the SL and the AL. I'll put this one side. Now I'll start off with the Noctua. Now it's very nicely boxed and all the functions over here, and I believe the back they have all the technology. They have listed out what they use and such, and what are the accessories. So right in the box itself, right, it's nicely packed. This I believe is actually the rubber grommet for the whole fan itself, if you intend not to use this rubber grommets. So you would just fit the whole thing in. Just to show you the last unboxing of the day, this is actually known as the gentle Typhoon. However, XPG took the initiative together with Nidec to actually improve the gentle Typhoon. Just to show you the original version, this is actually coming from Servo, Nidec Servo Corporation. Now the original gentle Typhoon itself, right, comes with ugly cables, and this is actually 3-pin, not 4-pin. So let's do the unboxing for this. Oh, before I do the unboxing, the box itself is pretty plain. It's just a red box, and all the specification is actually at the back with the serial number and all the description. Nothing fancy. Technology is in front, telling you what kind of technology it's using. Now inside the box itself, it contains, let's see, an extension cable, I believe. Yep, a 4-pin extension cable, fan screw. Oh, black. Okay, that's cool. Then the fan itself, let's see. This is actually the improved version, whereby, as you can see, the cable is actually in black and it's PWM. And you might be wondering why the cable is so short. Let me just show you that you can actually do daisy chain, whereby you do this. Then on one end, right, you would just have the extension cable to it. So this is quite similar. I mean, the mechanism itself is quite similar to, okay, let me just do it this way. The mechanism is quite similar to the Cooler Master, the way that they thought it. They just make the cable shorter and to daisy chain, whereby you can do neater cable management, as you can see here. And this is actually an extension to your motherboard or to your fan hub. Alright, there you have it, the unboxing of all the fans. Oh, forgot to mention that there are slight difference on the build itself. I mean, it's actually the same with the feel is the same as the original. This is the original one, or should I say the old version. This is the new version. Now what they have actually done is actually the rubber grommets over here, where on the old version, right, you don't have it. See? Yep. And also the amperage, right, this is rated, if I'm not wrong, is 0.16 ampere. This is actually 0.83 ampere. And the RPM for this is higher, which is 2150. This is actually rated as 1850. Alright, let's move on with the test method, or should I say the methodology of how I test all these fans. Before I talk about the methodology of how I do the test on the airflow of the fan and the noise and such, now I've actually missed out 3 functions on the fans itself. First of all, I did mention that there is a cable that actually stepped down from 12 volt to 7 volt. Reason being, right, some of you might just plug your fan directly, drawing power from the PST itself, so you wouldn't want to actually spin at high speed, as in like max RPM. You want to actually make it lower, so this is actually the cable for it, and you will make your case quieter, I should say. Next will be the cooler master itself. Now there is a function over here, just gonna show you. Now this switch enable you to switch from low, mid and high, but for this test I will be using high. Last but not least, the gentle Typhoon itself. I mentioned that there are rubber grommets over here. There are also rubber grommets at the back. For the test method on how I test the airflow of each fan, in my previous, or should I say my past video, if you guys are curious, you can actually click on my top right hand corner. I'll leave the URL over there. Now, I've actually made use of this box whereby it switches from high and low. And I've shown you on how much the air can push a piece on a piece of paper itself. Now, a lot have actually mentioned to me that that is actually an unfair judgment. So, or should I say, unfair gauge on how much airflow it is. Reason being, right, when I switch to low, right, all fans have different low RPMs. Same goes when I switch to high. And the piece of paper, right, is not that accurate. So with this said, right, to have it more accurate, I've actually made use of this device here. This is whereby it measures the airflow, as you can see here. So I'll be making use of what's the max of what this fan can do, of each fan can do at its max strength and the average. And over here, right, top right hand corner, in fact, this is actually my noise meter, as you can see. Hello, see, it makes noise. So it detects the noise of the fan itself. And with this said, right, to control the RPM, I'm making use of this fan bus bay. So as you can see here, right, I can actually switch. This is actually right now running on 1400. I will just switch it to max. See, this is actually the max RPM. Now, having to say so, right, this meter here does not read anything below 1K. So I will set low as either 1000 RPM or 1200 RPM. Most likely I will choose 1100 RPM. Then the next test will be max on each fan. Alright, having to say so, let's get into it. Result is out on the ARGB fans, the Lian Li SL120 and the Lian Li AL120. Now, if you look at the airflow itself between the AL and the SL, be it on the low, RPM or the high RPM, they have the same results. I was wondering if I actually done this wrong, but I've actually tested it 8 times for each fans and they yield the same results. I was like shocked. I guess probably the AL120 itself, right, though they have actually enlarged the blade, I mean the diameter of the blade itself, right, as I noticed that the ampere itself, they've actually increased it. I believe they are trying to match up with the SL. So there are no difference to my surprise, I should say. So there you have it. But one thing to take note is that the AL itself, right, are slightly noisier as compared to the SL. So as you can see here, the low RPM, this is actually the SL and this is actually the AL. Same goes to the high RPM on the SL and the AL. So AL in fact is slightly noisier, but if you're running on low RPM, right, it should not be a problem. Okay, now I'm going to jump on to the performance fans test. Results are out. For me, this round, I will choose Noctua NF A12 × 25. But, having to say this, right, I am also impressed with the Cooler Master SF120M. Reason being, right, at low amperage, 0.12 ampere as compared to Noctua and to gentle Typhoon. The pushing air rate is actually 279 feet per minute, which is actually similar to Noctua, which is 279 feet per minute. Now, I can't compare both fans to the gentle Typhoon. Reason being, right, it's actually drawing 0.16 ampere. Though the RPM is lower compared to Noctua and to Cooler Master, somehow I feel that this amperage, right, causes the blade to push more air. That gives so much airflow, which is actually 326 feet per minute. But the noise is higher compared to Noctua or to Cooler Master. As you can see here, right, it's 38.2. Now, looking on the high side itself, right, I would say that Cooler Master can actually compare with the Noctua itself if the RPM matches the Noctua. Because you look at the airflow, this is actually at 2100 RPM, around there, and this is actually 22. if they could actually increase the RPM, right, it's very close. Look at the airflow, and the noise itself is pretty close. And again, I can't compare it with the XPG because it's actually drawing 2400 RPM, which is actually producing a lot of airflow, 685 feet per minute. But the noise itself, right, you can't compare with the Noctua or the Cooler Master. It's way louder. So this round, I will choose Noctua. Having to say this, right, I'm actually very curious if I were to actually pull out my Arctic P12 PWM PST and the older generation of the gentle Typhoon, will this be able to compete with the Noctua? As I've actually done the test before, so let's find out. The results are out. Probably you can actually take a look at all the various fans that I've actually tested today and judge by yourself which you will want to take. Now, for those of you who actually wanted ARGB, right? Okay, the SL120 and the AL120, to my surprise, both have the same results, but the only difference by the noise itself and the amperage. So if you're into aesthetic, right, both fans work fine. Just take note on the AL itself, try not to ramp up all the way to max. Same goes to the SL. I find that they are rather noisy, so do control them at a moderate RPM. Now, as for the Cooler Master SF120M, I'm actually quite impressed. When I discovered this fan itself, it's rather impressive because looking at the low RPM airflow, right, it's the same as the Noctua, and it's not really that quiet as compared to Noctua, but it's about the same. The only thing loose out is that, as I mentioned, if it could actually ramp up the RPM to 2200 and above, right, similar to the Noctua, right, I believe these two can actually compete, not an issue. Else, for the XPG Gentle Typhoon, right, I would not suggest anyone to actually purchase this. Reason being, right, it's very noisy and it's drawing at a higher amperage compared to the Noctua and the Cooler Master. Though it gives very good airflow at max RPM, but look at the RPM, it's actually 2400. If you don't mind the noise and you want the airflow, right, you can actually go for this fan. But if you have already purchased this fan, try to control the RPM itself. As you can see, I've actually lowered down, I've tuned down using the fan bus bay to set it to 2130 RPM, and the airflow is pretty good. as compared to Noctua. But still, for my personal choice, I will not select this at all. In the past, I've actually done pressure static and airflow tests on this 3 fan, which is actually the Noctua NF AF12 x 25, the Arctic P12 PWM PST, and the first generation Nidec Gentle Typhoon. Now, this was the test that I've actually conducted in the past. This is actually for the airflow. I've actually not shown you on the pressure static, but the concept is the same, whereby I make use of the paper to show my viewers and subscribers how air is being pushed through. And by lifting this paper itself, right, it does tells that which have a better airflow. Having to say this, right, I'm actually using of this box here. If you can see over here, this box. Now, this allows me to actually switch high and low, 7 volt and 12 volt, which a lot of you have actually sent me email and messaged me saying that this is actually not a very good way to actually do the test. However, I must say this, that this test still valid. Reason being, right, for today, the test I'm actually making use of is actually from a fan bus bay, whereby I can control the RPM of all the fans. And to make use of this anemometer, if I'm not wrong, to actually detect in digital of how much air is actually pushed through. Feet per minute, that is. So, looking at my results here, right, in the past, I strongly suggest to go either the Nidec Gentle Typhoon or the Arctic P12 PWM PST. Reason being, during the intro of this video itself, I've mentioned 3 criteria. First is actually the amperage, second is actually the airflow, and third is the noise level. Now, looking at the Nidec Gentle Typhoon, first generation, and the Arctic P12 PWM PST fans, these two hold a 0.08 ampere load as compared to the rest of the fans I've tested over here. These are much more compared to these two. Next will be actually the airflow. Though this is actually not very impressive at low RPM compared to the Noctua itself, but when it ramp up to high RPM itself, right, it beats the Noctua in terms of the airflow, ampere, and the noise. And you might say that, why don't I actually choose the Nidec Gentle Typhoon? Yes, this will be my second choice. Reason being, though it's as good as the Arctic itself, but the noise level is higher. This is one. And two, it's actually a 3-pin fan, not a 4-pin fan, whereby I can't control the RPM. If I want to, right, I would have to actually plug this fan bus bay into my case. And right now, the new casing does not have this 5¼ inch bay slot for you to actually slot it in. So my first choice will still be Arctic P12 PWM PST. This have actually come to the end of the video itself. I hope you have actually enjoyed what I've actually explained to you. Now, just a tip to those of you who are actually looking for fans. Now, I know there are lots of videos out there and they did comparison, giving you the graphs and such, but do compare them with more videos out there. And I'm the type of person that would like to share with you, as in like to show you so that you can actually look at it, rather than to actually do graphs. I mean, it's like no point. I mean, I find that it's actually no point to actually test a fan without showing your viewers. Instead, test the fan and do a graph and explain through a graph, which to me it is not practical. Alright, I hope you have actually enjoyed so far, and for those of you who are actually new to this channel, right, welcome. If you like my content, do remember to click on the subscribe button and to click on the notification bell button. Next video I'll be talking on the pressure static only on the SL120 and the AL120. Till then, take care, goodbye, see ya.